Taylor says, who uses words like doldrums anymore?
Got her. Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
And today we read Agitation 3.6.
Ooh.
Surprisingly, another setup chapter. I was expecting them to start robbing the bank, but we've just gone several chapters without this bank robbery starting.
Yeah. I mean, it's like one clear piece of exposition and a character moment for Lisa and Taylor.
I highlighted a lot of this chapter.
Nice.
Really interesting chapter. If you're looking at it standalone as a chapter, it's a little frustrating that not more happened. But, of course, that's not, it's part of a bigger thing. And as part of a bigger thing, it's great. It's this exposition that's really interesting and in this really tense context.
Yeah.
When you have something coming up, like a bank robbery, it's very effective to put in bits of exposition leading up to it because everyone is so hooked on the robbery coming that they'll be riveted through whatever you say. You have them already.
That's a great point.
That's why I thought the chapter where she was fighting Brian, I was like, if we'd already known they had a job coming up, there could have been more tension there.
Yeah. That's actually a great observation. A difference between the early arc chapter and this kind of mid-arc chapter. That here we're in the midst of a greater degree of tension.
Yeah.
So I believe it's your turn to
okay.
tell us a little bit about what happened in more detail.
All right. In this chapter, they sit in a van, and then they get out of a van.
Wow.
No. I'll do a real summary. In this chapter, they are sitting in a van. They're in traffic. They're going to the bank to rob the bank.
And it's a rainy day.
Yeah, traffic is awful. Traffic is so bad that Lisa has put the van into park and turned off the engine. Taylor's just in this van with Lisa. Taylor's really nervous, so she asks her why some villains don't get their secret identities revealed when they get caught. And Lisa starts telling her whole philosophy of supervillains, superheroes, of capes, basically. So we hear a lot about that. Lisa basically thinks it's a game. I'm sure we're going to get into it in more detail. Taylor's like, I'm not sure I agree. And they talk about it a little, and Taylor a couple times brings up a group called the Endbringers, which we don't find out anything about them, but Lisa's reaction is you're being so morbid, what's going on? Taylor feels like she has to tell her something because she can't tell her, obviously, her real, moral differences with Lisa's point of view. So she says that a half-truth, she got into an argument last night with someone who really shook her confidence, said some hurtful things, and Lisa, really comes down on her side. She's like, well, fuck them. You're great. I know you. I've liked you since the beginning. This person who was putting you down doesn't know what you're capable of. And I think Taylor appreciates the irony of that. And then they finally move in traffic far enough. They are in front of the bank. They get there. They pull into an employee parking lot. They're kind of in an alley. And Brian pulls a second van into the alley so that they have a space that no one else can get into. There are vans blocking the alley. And they get their masks on. I guess they're in full costume now. And they get out of the vans.
Exciting.
Yeah, Taylor says, let's go rob a bank. Lisa grins. That's the end of the chapter.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. This conversation with Lisa, I was just highlighting every line. I was like, this is all so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say let's dig into it. I feel like I have a couple of I have a few things that maybe I could serve up to you as questions, but I'd love just to what are you excited to talk about? Let's get into it.
Yeah. So I was talking last time about we haven't really seen a lot of emotional depth from Lisa yet. And I feel like the philosophy she lays out really matches the persona she has been projecting.
Okay.
She basically says it's all a game. A high-stakes variant of cops and robbers. And Taylor's like, isn't it just actually cops and robbers? And Lisa kind of goes on about she sees the cape world as having different categories of people in it. So she says there's capes like you and me where we go out in costume and it's fun. Maybe we have some agenda or goals, but at the end of the day, we're getting our thrills blowing off steam and living a second life.
Yeah, she talks about, like, I think she says fun as fuck superpowers and toys or something like that.
Yeah, she expands on that a little bit later. She's like, yeah, so there's some theft, property damage, maybe a few people get a little hurt. She kind of minimizes the third one. She's like, people don't really get very hurt in what they do.
That's what health insurance is for. Yeah. They'll have something to talk about around the water cooler.
Right. They're making their lives exciting. So she's really rationalized away the possibility of hurting people, which we know is something Taylor's really concerned about.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, and I know, running around in skin-tight suits, it's ridiculous. Like, we all know it's ridiculous. No one talks about it, but it's fun. Right? Like, that's part of her attitude, too.
Yeah, she says, insurance will cover the, like, property damage, the, like, losses from theft, like, no real harm done. She sees villains as playing a slightly higher stakes, higher reward game than heroes are, but she doesn't seem to think it's morally more reprehensible. She thinks it's very similar.
Right. People like Lisa and Taylor and Armsmaster and Glory Girl all fall into the category of people in it for fun.
And she thinks 90% of people out there superheroing are doing it for fun.
Yeah.
And the other 10%, there are kind of two groups. There are, as she says, the crazies, the people who are fucked up in the head, may be dangerous if there's not something or someone to help keep them in line. People who take it too seriously. It's possible she would think Taylor falls into that category.
Interesting.
Or those guys you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of, even if they didn't have powers. Lung, Oni Lee, Heartbreaker. She paused. Bitch. So that's really interesting. This is Lisa's assessment, and Lisa is choosing to see this all as a game. So it's possible that, like, she's not an unbiased observer here.
Yeah.
It's clear there is a difference in how she sees it and how Bitch sees it. That doesn't really mean that Bitch is, like, unhinged, like, uncontrollable, disconnected from reality. It does mean she's more intense about some things, more serious about some things than Lisa is. Lisa probably feels a little defensive about that. Lisa is pushing back against that different philosophy kind of coming from her own group. So, I mean, again, what we've seen of Rachel so far has not been very flattering. And mostly since then, we've gotten Brian's assessment, Lisa's assessment. We really haven't seen her again since that first fight.
Right.
So, like strong first impression of violence and maybe being a little bit out of control. The assessments we've gotten from them have also not been that flattering.
And Bitch, or as Hellhound, was branded with that she's a psycho warning online, the same way Oni Lee was. They're both listed here, right?
I think they were called, like, antisocial or something.
Antisocial.
Yeah.
Psycho, being pejorative in the way that Lisa is.
Lisa is using it that way. Yeah. So I feel like this is, like, the way that this is building up Rachel, like, either she'll go really hard in this direction or we'll find out there's more to her. And I hope it's the second one.
Yeah.
Like,
and you sort of bring up an interesting point of, like, people who take it too seriously. You could read into that taking the stakes of what we're doing too seriously, taking the potential harm we do too seriously. Like you were saying, Taylor might fall into that second category, but it's not really because she's unstable in the way that Lisa is suggesting, but because she has higher ideals.
Yes, she has these very firm morals that Lisa is very consciously rationalizing away.
Yeah, there's not even a hint of the idea of, like, good guys stand for something other than fun and games.
Right, they're just the other half of the game. Yeah. They're the other team. She makes the direct analogy to, like, it's like having a sports team in your town, which I really enjoyed because I had said about the boss, like, some people sponsor a sports team.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And she connects it to, like, people like having something to follow that distracts them from, like, bad stuff. And
it's fun kind of news.
There's, like, a little side, the water crisis, that's going on.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and so it's what I take away from that is that capes are playing the role of, like, circuses in society. So that, and especially we don't know, hopefully not everywhere is as bad off as Brockton Bay, but certainly in Brockton Bay, this good guys versus bad guys pageantry probably does provide solace for
merchandising, tourists also.
Yeah, and because the city, as we have seen over and over again, is not doing well and has been getting worse.
No,
right?
also, they're stuck in traffic so bad, their car isn't even moving, and it's the middle of the day. Like, it's not even rush hour, it's lunchtime.
It's a normal Thursday.
This is like, Brockton Bay is not doing well in any respect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're getting... I mean, I feel like we haven't gotten into our whole philosophy, but it's interesting that we're getting a philosophy this cynical in a lighthearted way, I guess. Like, it's very cynical about the good guys versus bad guys situation, but in a very, like, it's all fun and games way. Yeah. Like, not in a dark, like, not in a depressing, cynical way. Just in a, like, none of it means anything. Like, a little bit nihilist.
Yeah. Well, I want to get your assessment. Because this is, I think you've been couching it this way, that this is Lisa's philosophy. This is not Lisa saying, this is the truth, this is what anybody would tell you. This is Lisa's philosophy on it. But when she says, the only difference between us and the good guys is we've taken the path of higher risk with potentially higher reward. Like, do we have any evidence to the contrary? Like, who have we seen in the story? Arsmaster? Glory Girl?
Yeah. So what I was going to say... is it's interesting to get this cynical perspective this early on, because I do feel like this echoes in some ways the arguments or the predictions I've made about, like, the good guys probably aren't that good.
Yeah.
This isn't the kind of perspective that I would gravitate towards personally, like, certainly not in the real world. Like, I think there are things to stand for and good things to fight for. And it's not just, pageantry and fun and games. Obviously, I don't have capes, but I'm not this nihilistic. But I think this is sort of one end of a philosophical space that the story is going to play in, is how I read this. Like, this is so clearly Lisa, a person who doesn't want to think of herself as a bad person, rationalizing the way she wants to live. I find it hard to believe that this philosophy came first.
Interesting.
Like, I don't think she became a villain because she had, like, clarifying experiences about, like, oh, villains are just as good as heroes. Okay, I guess I'll become a villain. Yeah, I think she wanted to be a villain.
It's not like Brian with the bank job, where at first he's like, ooh, too risky. And then the numbers changed a little bit. And he's like, oh, sign me up. Where it's not like Lisa did some math and she picked the one she was more comfortable with. She's not, like, investing in villainy, right? Like, it is more core. But she was doing stuff and she came up with this to justify it.
Yeah, I don't think that she just was someone who had innately this cynical view of the world. I mean, she must have been prone to it a little bit to end up in villainy. Like, she wasn't Taylor, who has such, like, firm beliefs about morality and such a strong conscience about it.
Yeah.
But I do think this is something she sort of spun up to justify things. And I think there's some truth in it. I don't think it's fully representative. I think certainly there are a lot of good guys who are hypocrites in this story. We've already seen them. That doesn't mean there's no way to be an actual good guy.
Right.
Quote unquote.
Right.
Like, the fact that some of the supposed good guys are not good at it or not good people doesn't sort of strike down the platonic ideal of the good guy. It just means they're not doing it well.
Yeah. I think that's really well said. If Taylor didn't have to hold her tongue and they could really have a philosophical argument, what do you think Taylor would say? I think she wouldn't endorse everyone's in it for fun. Good guys and bad guys are just labels. Because we saw in the last chapter, Taylor wants to be a good guy. So, like, what do you think if she could articulate a philosophy behind it? Do you know what she would say about it?
So, I think before I answer that, I think we should talk about the rest of what Lisa said.
Yeah, let's circle back to that.
Yeah, so she talked about the ones who are in it for fun. She says that's like 90% of the cave action. There are the ones who take it too seriously, who are maybe, like, dangerous.
Right. She calls them the crazies.
Yeah. And then there's the monsters. The really dangerous motherfuckers who are barely human anymore, if at all. The Slaughterhouse 9, Nilbog, the Endbringers, I interjected. So she thinks that's a relatively small amount of them.
Yeah.
And she has really distanced herself, in terms of her self-image, from those people.
Yeah.
Even from people like Lung, who she thinks is, not someone you'd want to cross, powers or not.
Yeah.
We don't find out anything about those people, but presumably they're like real scary. And she doesn't want to identify herself with them in her mind.
That's an interesting... I didn't pick up on this reading the chapter, but what that says to me is maybe there's something inside Lisa that says, well, I'm not a monster like those people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm obviously not a monster. I'm just a person. And I'm not crazy. I'm not antisocial. And yeah, and I want to be a villain, but everyone else in that last category is just the same. So like the things that she is insecure about, maybe she has put firmly away in these other two categories.
Yeah.
And she's comfortable in the mess of whatever is left.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do think, I feel like for there to be a really good argument against her, like the utilitarian argument that she makes is like medium strong. Like I think Taylor would really not side with her on the damage to people. Like property damage and theft, she hasn't shown a really strong aversion to those, but she does think that like someone getting hurt would be awful. Someone getting hurt because of what like Taylor and her friends did would be terrible. And I think that Lisa's rationalizations there are pretty weak. Like she's like, they have health insurance. They can talk about something at the water cooler. Like, no, this is actual damage to people. Like, Lisa, you're like a 17-year-old or whatever who's probably never had a serious injury in your life. Like,
yeah.
I wonder if she will have a serious injury, because I wonder if that will change her assessment of things.
Yeah, interesting.
Because, like, you break your leg, that sucks, but, like, you'll probably recover. Like, you get your hand crushed and you can never use it again and it's always in pain. Like, that's a completely different situation.
Yeah, of course.
You get hit in the head and you get a concussion and it gives you, like, damage that you never recover from.
Yeah, it's interesting. I agree that her sort of arguments about the risks of harm are pretty weak. It's interesting that Taylor thinks that is one of the things that Taylor is kind of feeling woe is me about. She's like, I'm the only one on the team who cares about people getting hurt. Mm-hmm. But Lisa is addressing it. Like, her arguments aren't good, but she is sort of like, I guess...
But she's deliberately not caring, right?
Right. I guess what I'm wondering if she's more oblivious that this is a sore spot for Taylor, or if she is, because they had a whole planning conversation, they talked about
but Taylor
harm.
Didn't really talk about her own...
Yeah. I guess I'm wondering how much is this, like, is she trying to make an argument? Is she trying to persuade Taylor and failing? Or is she speaking glibly, speaking probably how she actually feels, and not realizing that Taylor is, like, judging her?
I think it's the second one.
Yeah.
Because Taylor is in their game. She's already doing this, and when Lisa's talking about people who are in it for fun, she says, like you and me, she thinks that Taylor has already bought into sort of this, maybe Taylor hasn't thought it through as much, but Taylor has already sort of dismissed the moral objections to villainy if she's doing it. So I don't think she feels very self-conscious about this, but she does want to expound her point in a way that is convincing, because, she needs to believe it, and she needs to believe it's a compelling argument.
Now, hearing you say that, Taylor has not articulated a philosophy necessarily. To some extent in this chapter, she has fallen into the position of doing something she's uncomfortable with, and is engaged in like a line drawing exercise that lets her preserve her identity as much as possible. And what I mean is, she has correctly identified that caring more about potential harm to people is something she can like feel superior about, or like that is something that she can feel like, oh, this is something I care about that the others don't, and that's why I'm good and they're bad, right? And not saying that isn't genuine, but I wonder how much of it is forced by circumstance, rationalized in like a little bit the same way that maybe Lisa came to rationalize her philosophy about things.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting, like, so I was saying the utilitarian side of Lisa's arguments, kind of good in terms of the benefits, I guess. Like, people get to watch pageantry. Like, there's a point there. Not that great in terms of minimizing the harms. I don't think she successfully does that. I wonder what Taylor would say about the more, like, deontological side of it. The, like, it's just inherently wrong to steal other people's money.
Right.
Even if they're going to get an insurance payout. Well, you're taking money from the insurance company that the insurance company shouldn't have had to give up. If you are stealing money, you are in some way taking money that, like, other people somewhere along the line don't have anymore.
Yeah. And people care. Like, people care if their money gets stolen and it's going to be replaced tomorrow by an insurance company. People don't want that. Like, you know, like, people have their own...
Right, there's psychological damage in terms of, like, you went through this traumatic robbery experience. But again, that's a little bit more the utilitarian side of it. I wonder how strongly Taylor feels, just like, it's wrong to steal, it's wrong to damage property. And I wonder, like, she seems very practical overall, so maybe she does just have more practical arguments about it, like, damaging property is bad for Brockton Bay, it's chaos, it's taking the heroes away from stopping other villains who maybe are doing worse things, like maybe people more in the loon category who are doing more harm to people. We've also seen, like, the way Lisa describes it is very tuned to the kind of things that the Undersiders do, like robbing a bank, robbing a casino, these sort of one-off theft and property damage situations.
Yeah.
But we've seen, like, from Triple E guy, these villain gangs extort protection money from civilians. Like, they cause a lot of on-the-ground damage. Like, the ones who hold territories, probably not doing great things for those territories or the people in them.
Right.
Like, that's real harm to people. And I don't know that she would classify all of those gangs that are holding all of Brockton Bay, are those all in the 10%? Like, no, there's way too many of them.
Yeah, it's very convenient that the one other cape Taylor has faced off against, one other villain cape, is in that 10% category.
Yeah, and Lisa does seem to think he is exceptional. She's like, he's one of the few people I'm really scared of.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, and the other villain we've seen is a Nazi. So, like, like, are all of Triple E in the bad 10% category? Like, who are the other villains in the good 90%?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, right. Her math does not check out.
She's really minimizing, I think, the harm that's done in general to Brockton Bay by the supervillains.
Yeah. And the cape that she brings up that fits in the category is Uber.
Oh, that's right. Uber and Leet are
they're the video game themed ones. So that makes sense to me, right?
Yeah,
we don't know much about them, but that makes sense. And I wanted to bring up, so I agree that her arguments about minimizing harm are pretty weak. The thing that stood out to me as, like, the biggest stretch, though, was her argument about, like, the 3 strikes policy. The sort of, like, oh, you know, for people who aren't really dangerous, like you and me, yeah, you know, we'll go to jail, but everybody, you know, they escape before their court date and they're back on the streets. And, like,
everyone kind of accepts that and wants that, is her argument.
But after 3 strikes, they go to the birdcage. I gotta say, if the path of fun, villainy, inevitably leads to going to whatever prison Loon is being sent to, that seems bad. Like, that doesn't feel rightly baked in. And, like, maybe 90% of the 90% retire after 2 strikes and go off into the night with their ill-gotten gains.
Really,
but, like, that doesn't seem like what Lisa's talking about. So, like, again, you know, they're teens, right? Like, they're not thinking about, you know, oh, if I'm lucky, I'll have done this for 10 years and only have 2 strikes. Right. But that's probably not the timeline. Right. Like, go see how fun the video game theme, you know, seems when you're in prison with Loon.
I mean, I bet the whole secret identity thing really enables that kind of thinking, because you can hang up your costume and no one will know who you are. Yeah. It's very different from having committed crimes and having your face known, you know.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. And who knows, maybe society is full of Reformed 2 strikes villains who have gone back to their cities. We don't know.
So one of the things she cites in support of her theory, her cops and robbers theory, she calls it, is the reaction you see when someone crosses the line. Someone finds out another cape's secret identity and goes after their family. or a cape wins a fight and decides his downed opponent isn't in a state to say no if he's feeling lusty, word gets around and the cape community goes after the fucker, protecting the status quo, keeping the game afloat. Bitter enemies call a truce, everyone bands together, favors get called in, and everyone does their damnedest to put the asshole down. So this is just a really interesting piece of perspective on the Cape world. There's sort of these unwritten rules.
Yeah.
Like boundaries sort of outlining like what you're supposed to be able to do as a villain. And that does sound like that feels vaguely plausible as like, you know, most villains don't want the stakes to be that high. They don't want people coming after their families, so they'll, you know, go after someone who does that kind of thing.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's, you know, everybody knows not to take things too far, you know, make things too serious, you know, like, this is actually another example of what maybe, like, taking it too seriously means when she's talking about it, right? But yeah, the capes will band together, identify the person who's acted out, and take care of it, you know, in what way? Like, is this in a Interlude 2 Glory Girl style way? I think it's really interesting, right? So these red lines exist, but they're enforced through norms and like I don't know if self-policing is the right word, but self-vigilantism. It is fascinatingly lawless. And that is something else I want to connect back to sort of like what's the difference between good guys and bad guys or whatever. Lisa's vision here, there is no rule of law at all. Whatever value that brings to society, Lisa has like completely worthless. Dismissed it out of hand. Yeah. And she's even saying, maybe we did have a society of where rule of law mattered, but whatever Cape society has like transcended it or regressed from it, depending on how you think about it.
But this is what she's telling herself to make herself feel better about the lack of rule of law. She's like, yeah, there's no actual laws governing villains who disregard laws, but you know, if anyone really goes too far, everyone will stop them. It's really making me think about the current political scene. Yeah. I don't know if we want to leave this in the podcast, but like this idea that like, okay, but the president knows where to stop. Like,
yeah. Or if the president doesn't, then the people around him. Certainly. Will, right? Like, the adults in the room, quote unquote theory. Yeah. Well, but our institutions are so strong, right? Like nobody would ever, the people who handle the money, like they care about the bottom line. They're not delusional too, right? Yeah.
I think we will see as this story goes on. I think the sort of nihilism of Lisa's argument, like, I think there is some real pageantry going on in the Cape world. I think that's real. I think that the way she is telling herself, it's all for fun, no real harm gets done. If anyone really tries to do something bad, even the other villains will stop them. I think that's a nice story she's telling herself, but it's going to be proven real wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's going to have some dark truths to face.
Yeah. And I'm going to make a connection that I think is supported by the text in this chapter.
Okay.
She's pretty confident, except in one instance.
With the Endbringers?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just going to mention that her having to face dark truth. We see a little slippage of the mask, of the comedy mask here. Taylor says, right after Lisa says this thing about, like, everyone comes together to bring them down. Taylor says, like we do with the Endbringers. Holy fuck, Lisa said, slapping the sides of the steering wheel with her hands. Twice you bring up the Endbringers in as many minutes. You're being morbid. What's going on? That is such a strong reaction to Taylor just mentioning a gang, like, presumably a really scary gang. Something that Lisa doesn't like to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I don't know what's going on with the Endbringers.
Yeah, they're in the third tier, but they're kind of in a tier on their own. Yeah. Right. And
a secret fourth tier.
Right. Just the connection I'm making is you were saying, like, maybe something bad will happen that's, you know, bad enough to shatter her worldview that, like, well, of course, but it's, you know, the norms work. The norms work.
She maybe kind of already knows.
Maybe there is something that's that bad already.
Yeah. Like the story she's telling herself is not airtight.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really well spotted.
One other thing I just want to highlight about Lisa's expounding of her philosophy. She goes on about how, like, it's in the city's interest to keep us in circulation. She talks about how local government wants the revenue, the merchandising, the tourists, the attention, everything that the Cape scene brings in. Lisa knows who the boss is. Mm-hmm. So it is very possible that Lisa is thinking directly of, like, the person who hired them to be operating. If they were hired by, like, a local government official,
ooh,
then, I mean, that really explains where Lisa's getting her cops and robbers theory. Of course. Yeah, it's like, oh, the government is sponsoring us to, like, create this pageantry, to play this game in their city. Yeah. Of course she's not going to feel like a bad guy. The government's hiring her to do this. So even though, like, there's sort of no rule of law among capes, but, like, it's all just a game. Like,
yeah. They're all one side. Yeah.
Right. But we have to pretend there are two sides, because if there's no competition, what's the fun?
Right. Yeah, I love that. It's very good fuel for that theory.
Yeah. It does make me think, I mean, I'm constantly talking about Megamind, it feels like, on this, which does very much play with the idea of, like, are the villains really villains? Are the good guys really good? But also does come down firmly on the side of, like, okay, but it's possible to be a real villain and someone needs to stop those people. And that, I think, is maybe the weakest part of Lisa's argument. Like, this idea of, like, okay, but most of us are just playing. Yeah, but there are some people doing really bad things, and there are other people working really hard to stop them. Are you working hard to stop them? No, you're just making the lives harder of those people who are working to stop them.
I mean, it's the Spiderman argument. With great power comes great responsibility. Lisa sees no responsibility coming with her power.
Yeah. One last thing about Lisa. This is maybe getting into predictions, which I always get into anyway. When she's talking to Taylor, she says, "So I've shaken the doldrums from you. Good." Taylor says, "Who uses words like doldrums anymore?"
Got her.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Lisa's vocabulary. It's come up several times. She just kind of has maybe a more old-fashioned way of speaking.
Yeah, it's old-fashioned and quippy.
It's true. She probably just has a really big vocabulary because of her power. Her power tells her what words mean. It probably gives her the right word for a situation, even if it wouldn't be in common usage. But also, I just have to wonder if there's something else going on.
Amazing. She's
probably not a time traveler. She's probably not secretly super old but looks young. But I wonder, like, I feel like probably the more likely explanation is that she had some sort of, like, lonely childhood where she, like, read the dictionary for fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe that's where her knowledge power came from. Maybe she was a really lonely kid and spent a lot of time in the library and just, like, knew way more than most kids. And, like, that was fun, but also tied to this deep wound of, like, not having other kids to play with. I'm definitely thinking of the Spelling Bee musical, Olive Ostrovsky, that character who sings My Friend the Dictionary. Like, that's Lisa. She's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's why she has her power.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've alluded to it before, but the undercurrent in this chapter, especially in the first half, is Taylor's not feeling chatty. She's glad that she found a topic that Lisa wants to talk about because she doesn't have to talk. And she explains that the murderer thing has her really down, weighing on her mind. She is self-aware about the paradox that she is facing.
I was amazed by that. She says, like, she doesn't want to be caught, whether it's because she wants to keep hanging out with them or because she wants to bring them down. Hard to say.
And I want to call out, it's another great usage of this dual identity piece where she says, I want to keep hanging out with Brian, Lisa, and Alec. And I also want to send Gru, Tattletale, Regent, and Bitch to jail. I love that.
Yeah, that was well played. And she says, I was aware how paradoxical those two interests were.
Yeah.
Which it's good because we haven't actually seen her be very worried about that so far. She hasn't been very aware of the danger of getting too attached. The fact that we're seeing her be more aware makes me think, I mean, she'll probably still get attached. Like, it's just hard not to get attached. But it sort of complicates that. It's not like suddenly 2 arcs from now, she'll be like, oh, I'm attached. Like, she already sees it coming.
Right.
So.
And it sort of makes sense. The first few chapters of this arc, she was very pro-Undersiders. When she's meeting with Armsmaster, she's very pro, betrayal. Mm-hmm. In sort of the same way that in the last arc, she was flipping between her school woes and her exciting cape life and just, like, keeping stuff compartmentalized. Mm-hmm. This is one of the few examples we've seen so far, if not kind of the first major one, where she's, like, faced with this contradiction and having to sit with it and being made, like, actively uncomfortable. Yeah. She can't fully dismiss this seed of doubt that Armsmaster planted. Is she in a van with a murderer right now?
Yeah, she says, I felt like every interaction with these guys was spoiled now. I had so many thoughts based on this paragraph. She thinks through all the other Undersiders.
She kind of does a little bit of the analysis.
She's already assumed that it's bitch. She's thinking, like, when I'm smiling at a joke Alec made, was I enjoying the joke of a killer? She talks about how she likes Brian, but, like, she's looking back at him teaching her to fight.
Yeah, that's the same point you made.
Yeah, had he ever gone one step further? It wasn't 100% impossible to imagine that one of the secrets Lisa was so fond of keeping included murder either. She's so down about this that it makes me think it's not going to be as big a deal as it could be.
Ooh, okay.
Like, I just, I feel like her already feeling the effects of this means that it will be... We'll want to sort of counter that. Like, where the story will go will be somewhere different.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, certainly it would be incredibly hypocritical of Lisa to have murdered somebody and then go off about how she's just in it for fun and games. And, I mean, obviously, maybe, again, circumstances, whatever. But
this would be a hard argument to maintain, even if she'd accidentally caused someone's death.
A cold-blooded, or even a warm-blooded, but clearly, like,
intentional
murder. That seems to be one of the red lines that Lisa is tracing out here.
Even if it were an accidental, like someone dying as a result of just like the battle over the casino
Insurance
robbery.
Isn't going to cover that. Can't talk about it at the water cooler if you're dead.
She seems to think it's not really doing any serious harm to any bystanders, so maybe less likely. This chapter does make me think less that she might have killed someone. I do think, thinking about the way that Armsmaster said that, he's like, there are at least 2 murderers. We don't know that those are 2 distinct murders. It could be that someone died in some scene of some event that they were tied to, and he thinks at least 2 of them were involved, caused it in some way.
Or Lisa talks about these unwritten rules, says when people act out of line, you take care of it. If there's a vigilante justice motive for the murder, that
villains.
Could be a distinction that Armsmaster is drawing.
That's true. And Lisa might not see that as anything bad because that's taking out, someone who really deserved it.
It could be, they were like, it could be dozens of villains were in on it.
So, I was thinking that while reading this. And if that's true, like, I'm kind of thinking about her allegiance to, her fondness for the Undersiders, like whether it will make the story more interesting to maintain it, muddy it, break it, depending on where the story goes, all of those are options. If it's going to be a complex moral situation for her because she wants to be able to write them off as villains, but like, oh, the stuff they've done really isn't that bad, and Armsmaster said they were murderers, but really it's just, this thing that isn't that consequential that happened, and someone died for a reason that wasn't their fault. That helps keep them in that space of, okay, but I like them, but they're villains, whereas if she finds out like, oh my gosh, Brian actually killed someone and, brutally stabbed them, it's easier to just write them off and that's less interesting.
Yeah.
But if she and Brian develop feelings for each other, then I could definitely see a situation in which she is in love with him, but also thinks that he's evil.
Ooh.
But again, if she thinks that he's a murderer, like in the worst sense of the word, it's really unlikely that she'd even still be interested. So maybe more interesting to keep him in that ambiguous space. But I do think that's my new prediction for her relationship with Brian. They will develop feelings, but Taylor will not want to give in to them because she knows he's a villain and she doesn't want to be that.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's an interesting way you put it. She doesn't want to be a villain. Because there is almost, there's some subtext, I think, in Taylor's thoughts. Again, I was saying, like, she's kind of focusing on the civilian harm thing in this chapter as, like, this is a real difference between me and the rest of the people on this team. But when she was talking to Armsmaster, right, what she said was, I'm a good guy. Right, which is really like
identity-based.
It's really identity-based. It's like I identify as a good guy sports team. And not exactly, and not a villain, which is not necessarily any more on its own is not any more principled than what Lisa's saying, but is very different from what Lisa's saying.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, it's maybe more how people see you rather than what you do or differences in what you do.
Right, yeah.
One thing that I thought was really interesting is the way that she, again, in her little verbal jousting with Lisa here, is honest about her conversation with Armsmaster. I read this as emotional honesty about the situation. She says, I got in an argument with someone last night. I think it was a mutual disappointment. Got pretty heated, hurtful. I guess I'm a bit angry and my confidence is a little shaken.
Yeah, that sounds right. And later on, Lisa asks if she can visualize the job they're about to pull. And Taylor thinks, not really. Yes, I tried. Liar, she said. We know Lisa can't read minds. We don't know if she can detect lies. That feels to me like something that would break like the Manton effect or whatever, where it's like she can't know what's in Taylor's head, so she can't know if it's a lie or not, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I love this little moment. Like, so one is it really shows what's in it for Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
In 20 minutes or so, we're going to be leaving there tens of thousands of dollars richer, the adrenaline rush of victory pumping through our veins. And she's barely above a whisper, now tell me, can you visualize that? and then when she says liar, then she winks and says, it's okay. An hour from now, you'll be rolling in money and laughing about how pessimistic you were, promise. So that's
an ill-fated thing to say, Lisa.
in a narrative. But to me, it's like this whole scene is she's trying to pump Taylor up. But I do think she is seeing the hesitancy. Maybe she doesn't know what it means. Yeah. But like she really is like, this is Lisa's like, do you trust me? Like, get on the magic carpet with me. Like, I want to show you how fun. Like, let this be fun, Taylor, please.
I was thinking, we talked about why Lisa believes all this. I don't think we said how directly Lisa's argument here is attacking Taylor's worldview and attacking her self-image. Because like you were just saying, she wants to see herself as a good guy. That's sort of in line with what Lisa's saying. We're like, we're just two different teams. There needs to be opposition, but the good guys are basically the same as the bad guys. That idea that the good guys are basically the same as the bad guys, like, directly undermines Taylor's sense of purpose.
Yeah. No, that's exactly. And Taylor already expressed earlier in the arc, she's uncomfortable with the money she's already gotten. So, like, this does nothing for her. The idea of rolling around in the money.
No, that's true. Yeah. But, like, even the idea that, like, even if she can manage to be a good guy, not dirty her hands with this money or something, Lisa's claim that, like, it wouldn't make any difference. You'd still be just the same kind of person. That's something Taylor cannot get on board with because that's her whole purpose and identity. The idea that she's on the good guy's team and that makes her better.
Yeah. Yeah. The other moment I wanted to call out where Lisa's kind of pumping Taylor up at the end here is, that the moment where Lisa catches Taylor smiling and Taylor's like, I was trying to stay impassive, but like just the irony of what she was saying got to me. What Lisa's saying is, this guy or this girl who's got you down in the dumps, I say fuck them. They don't know you. They don't know what you're capable of. Uh-huh. And then she's like, I saw that. Don't think I didn't see that. And Taylor's thinking the irony of her statement was too rich. I grinned, looking out the window to hide the expression from Lisa. I love this. I mean, so do you have thoughts about like what Taylor's feeling? Like why, like what the irony is here?
I mean, Lisa doesn't know what Taylor's capable of either.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Taylor in this moment is feeling smug because she is successfully keeping a secret from Lisa. Yeah,
whose power is to know stuff.
And that feeling is stronger than the moping she was feeling just now. And she has been getting buoyed. Like, Lisa's been talking her up for a little bit. Like, you're so tough. You stood up to Loon. You know, like, fuck whoever that was you were arguing with and all that. Right? I think that they don't know what you're capable of is exactly Taylor's damage. Like, Lisa, whether Lisa knows it or not, this is a 3-pointer from her. Right? Yes. Armsmaster doesn't know what Taylor's capable of.
Yeah, he thinks that she's going to mess up. She's in over her head.
Emma doesn't know what Taylor is capable of.
No, Emma has no idea that Taylor could strike back in this really vicious way.
Danny doesn't know what Taylor is capable of.
True.
Right? Like,
he thinks she needs to be protected on her runs.
Yeah. And I think this is also, maybe this is just subtext, but I think this is also kind of what is driving Lisa in this conversation too. Like, I don't know if she realizes it, but the like we're going to rob a bank. We're going to do this cool thing and get away with it, right?
Yeah.
Like people don't know what the undersiders are capable of, right? Like, I think that this is something that certainly Lisa, but also probably the rest of the team has a little bit of this, like, we want to prove what we can do. People don't know our names, but they will. Despite everything Taylor is thinking about, this is something that Taylor has in common with her teammates.
That's a great point. You mentioned Taylor's damage. I shared my theory, I think, last episode, that she gained her powers because of the way that the bullies put her down. I think that would tie into this idea that, you know, they don't know what she's capable of. Like, they were making her feel like nothing, but actually that made her incredibly more powerful. And I feel like I didn't specifically say last time, because this hadn't occurred to me, they made her feel like a worm.
Yeah, there it is.
There's the title. They made her feel like a worm, and she gained the power to control these creepy crawly things that she was identifying with.
Yeah. Next chapter, Taylor busts into the bank and says, "It's me, Worm." Everyone screams, applauds. No, but seriously, yeah, I think that's right on, and that's right in line with what you were saying.
Yeah.
It's a good theory.
Thank you. Oh, I did want to say before we stop, Lisa has the line, "See, I know you. Believe it or not, I like you." I was like, believe it or not? Why would she not believe it?
Maybe because of the way she's acting?
Yeah, I was going to say, it must be that Taylor really is giving off vibes of not being secure in their friendship. Yeah. Like, the group's friendship.
It reminds me of, like, Alec calling her a dork and her being like, "My name isn't Dork, it's Taylor, how dare you?" You know, like
Dork is my father.
Yeah, exactly. She probably projects a no fun aura a lot of the time.
Oh, that's a good point. She at least must seem like she's insecure about being liked.
Yeah. And Lisa has really gone out of her way to welcome Taylor.
Yeah. Sharing her whole fun philosophy.
Yeah. Do you have any other, like, speculations or other thoughts on this chapter?
I think I've shared most of my predictions.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
We don't have any names that are new next chapter, but I want to invite you to speculate. Okay. What's the deal with the Endbringers? I mean, also, I guess if there are any vibes coming off of the Slaughterhouse 9, which is the other name that gets dropped.
The Slaughterhouse 9 seem like maybe they kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
The Endbringers definitely conjures some sort of, like, cult. Like, sort of like trying to bring about the end times via very dark methodology.
Ooh,
like,
okay.
You know, if we kill enough people, then the river of blood will summon Armageddon or something.
Yeah.
Or, like, you know, satanic rituals or something. I feel like Lisa wouldn't be that freaked out by satanic rituals.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say is that Endbringers definitely, I agree with the vibe, but the degree, that doesn't seem sufficient to provoke that kind of reaction. Unless Lisa believes it's possible.
I bet they're led by a prophet.
Okay.
Who has or claims to have the ability to see the future and has predicted really dire things for the world.
Fascinating.
So it's really scary to think about because most people are like, yeah, that's probably not true. But there's still that doubt in the back of your mind. They're like, what if it is true? What if 5 years from now the sun goes dark and that's what we all will have to deal with?
Yeah. And What if you have a power that is suggesting to you things that not everybody is thinking?
Yeah, because again, we said Lisa probably doesn't see the future, but she might be able to see things about the present that would indicate whether or not a prophecy is likely to be true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, I look forward to the next chapter.
Robbing
the
a bank!
Agitation arc, where, short of a long, detailed conversation with Alec about Earth Aleph media as they cross the parking lot, we will almost certainly rob a bank.
I can't wait.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.